boys and girls. Pastor Ken here again. Thank you for joining me. I believe we're at about Tuesday evening right now. We've made it through a couple of 3 lessons or so, and you're back. I suspect you've seen some of this around your house over the last couple of weeks especially. It's called hand sanitizer, and you've probably been told to use it all the time. You go outside and come back in, wash your hands, use hand sanitizer on and on and on and on. Everybody's using it. There's so much of it's being used we can't hardly even find it anywhere to be bought at the stores. It's being used a lot. So what do they tell you about this? They say squirt it on your hands and then rub it in your hands, right? Now, does this do anything on the inside of you? No, it's all for the outside, protecting you against germs on the outside, so that when I touch something like the floor and then go to my mouth or my nose and wipe my nose or cough, I don't bring germs to my mouth or to my nose, okay? It's supposed to keep me germ-free. Not sure that it does, but that's what they say that it does, all right? They probably even say on here, active ingredient, ethyl alcohol. Alcohol will kill just about anything. It says here, use hand sanitizer to help reduce bacteria on the skin. But then it says this, warning, flammable, keep away from fire or flame. That's crazy, isn't it? I'm putting something on my hand that will catch me on fire, but it keeps the bacteria away, all right? Listen to this. Jesus on the inside keeps the bacteria away and also keeps the fire away. Okay, you see, without Jesus on the inside, guess what? You're going to a fiery place when you die. Don't want to scare you, but it's the truth, and I got to tell you the truth. I can't be telling you stories up here, okay? So Jesus on the inside sanitizes you, so to speak. That's what they say this does. Makes you clean. Makes you clean and also saves you from the fire. This stuff makes you clean on the outside, but could help you catch on fire. So I say we don't use this as much as we need Jesus. Let's use Jesus a little more. Let's let him in our lives. Let's let him fill us up with his goodness, okay? Keep us clean and keep us away from the fire. How about that? You on with that? Good. All right, remember the questions from this afternoon? Well, now we get the answers. We're going to read the questions one at a time, and then we're going to read the verse and come up with the answer. So, first question was from this afternoon, I owned flocks, herds, and tents. Who am I? That's found in Genesis 13:5. I hope you found a Bible during the afternoon and looked them up. And Lot, who went with Abram, also had flocks and herds and tents, so that the land could not support both of them dwelling together, for their possessions were so great that they could not dwell together. So who owned flocks, herds, and tents? Well, looks like 2 guys did. We've got Lot and Abram, who both owned flocks, herds, and tents. So that's your answer there. 2 men, Lot and Abram. Question number 2. I was referred to as a righteous man in the New Testament. Remember, we got to go all the way back to the end of the Bible, to Revelation, and come back a few books, and we're at 2 Peter, okay? 2 Peter comes after what? 1 Peter. All right, sorry. That wasn't that funny, was it? So you go from Revelation to 3 John to 2 John to 1 John to 2 Peter, and we're looking for 2 Peter, the 2nd chapter, verses 7 through 8. All right, and it says this, and he rescued righteous Lot, greatly distressed by the sensual conduct of the wicked, for as that righteous man lived among them day after day, he was tormenting his righteous soul over their lawless deeds that he saw and heard. Then the Lord knows how to rescue the godly from trials. So the question was, I was referred to as a righteous man in the New Testament. The person referred to here was whom? Lot. Okay? Lot was rescued by God. All right? Let's be sure of that. Verse 7, and if he rescued righteous Lot, then he will rescue us also, is what the verse is saying, okay? Lot was the righteous man. What does righteous mean? That means being godly, being like God, okay? The first 5 letters ought to tell you something. Right. You're being right in God's eyes. That's what righteousness is. Right in God's eyes. R-I-G-H-T. Doesn't mean that you're always right, like in your math quiz or your spelling test, but you're right in God's eyes. So I was referred to as a righteous man in the New Testament. Who am I? The answer is Lot. Question number 3. I lived in a cave for a time. Who am I? Hey, living in a cave, that sounds kind of fun. Let's take a look and see where the answer is. Genesis 19:30. That's on back here a little ways. Let me see if I can find it for you real quick. One more page I have to turn. Genesis 19:30 says this. Now Lot went up out of Zoar and lived in the hills with his 2 daughters, for he was afraid to live in Zoar. So he lived in a cave with his 2 daughters. So the answer to our question, I lived in a cave for a time, the answer is Lot. Okay? That's in Genesis 19:30. Who did he live with? He lived with his 2 daughters in this cave. Question number 4. I invited 2 angels into my home. I invited 2 angels into my home. Who am I? Genesis, the 19th chapter again, verses 1 and 2 says this. The 2 angels came to Sodom in the evening, and Lot was sitting in the gate of Sodom. When Lot saw them, he rose to meet them and bowed himself with his face to the earth and said, My lords, please turn aside to your servant's house and spend the night and wash your feet. Then you may rise up early and go on your way. They said, No, we will spend the night in the town square. So again, the answer to this question, I invited 2 angels into my home. Who am I? The answer is Lot. Once more. All right? And the last question for the day. Question number 5. I lived in a very sinful city. That could be just about any of us, right? All of our cities are kind of sinful, not pleasing to God. But let's just see what Genesis 13 verses 12 and 13 says. Let's take a look here. Abram settled in the land of Canaan, while Lot settled among the cities of the valley and moved his tent as far as Sodom. Now the men of Sodom were wicked, great sinners against the Lord. I lived in a very sinful city. The answer, who am I? The answer again is Lot. L-O-T. And what city did he live in? He lived in the city of Sodom. S-O-D-O-M. So Lot is the answer to almost all the questions. That's pretty cool. So we'll have some more questions tomorrow and some more answers also. Thank you for taking some time to spend with your parents and maybe your brothers and sisters in the Bible, finding these answers out. And we'll be back tomorrow. Let's pray. God, thank you for your word, how it speaks to us, how some of these names may be a little complicated, but overall, Lord, they're helping us learn how your word can speak to us and how we're many times just like people in the Bible. So you're waiting to help us. You're waiting to show us the way too. Again, whether we're young or old, big or little. Thank you for that, God. And we ask you in Jesus' name. Amen.